Across the nation are sacred sites that capture the spirit of America's character. And one of those places is right here, the Kennedy Space Center.
Every single vehicle that has carried humans beyond the bounds of low Earth orbit has undergone integration and testing in that vehicle assembly building, crawled down this roadway and launched right here from the Kennedy Space Center. The Space Launch System, mated with the Orion spacecraft, will continue this proud tradition.
As soon as we roll out of the vehicle assembly building, High Bay 3, and the world gets a chance to see this rocket, I think it is going to be shocking.
On March 17th, NASA took a giant step toward returning humanity to the moon. The fully assembled Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft for the Artemis I mission made its debut outside the massive vehicle assembly building.
We've seen the mobile launcher outside, and it's massive, but now add an over 300-foot rocket on top of it, it's just going to be amazing.
Charlie Blackwell Thompson oversees the launch countdown, ultimately providing the go for launch.
Entity, launch director, representing this team and all the men and women that have worked to make this day happen, I proudly give you a go to roll the Artemis launch vehicle to the pad.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world's most powerful rocket right here.
Once outside, the rocket began its nearly 4-mile journey to the pad, riding atop a 6.6 million pound crawler transporter, which was originally constructed to transport the Apollo moon rocket.
In 1 year, we have completely stacked the vehicle. We've completed most of our testing, all very successful, and we are so close to launch, and the excitement is just crazy.
Now NASA's new moon rocket is making the same journey the Saturn V took 50 years ago.
And just as all eyes are on the SLS tonight as it makes its journey, in a few short weeks, all eyes are going to be on the sky as it rocks the Space Coast and takes its maiden flight around the moon.
It is amazing to see the culmination of all of this work of many years from many industries and many people that have come and go to have a chance to then now see their work going over to the pad and then launching to go to the moon.
The rocket is rolling to historic Launch Complex 39B. Its launch pad used for both Apollo and shuttle launches, sending hundreds of astronauts to space throughout the decades, and now on tap to send hundreds more as we return to the moon and venture beyond to Mars. But for this mission, there will be no astronauts on board.
and start closing them down then. But we'll get with our partners at Florida Highway Patrol to determine that. But they're going to have people stationed in at some of the bridges, especially the larger ones, to monitor the wind speed. 40 miles per hour sustained, but if the gusts get too high, we'll make a call then. But the mayor and I will talk about that also.
Can you address any question regarding possible evacuations? As I know you were going to discuss that after yesterday's meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we released something on that yesterday, but no, we are not ordering any sort of mandatory evacuations. At this point, it doesn't look like there is a need to ask people to leave unless they feel like they are in a vulnerable place. If there are special needs and they're just going to feel better if they go to a shelter, if they're in a particularly low-lying area and they're going to feel better if they're in a shelter, that's when we'd ask people to. We've got those 6, now almost 7 shelters open. We have the ability to open more if we need them, but for the time being, we just don't see that evacuations are necessary.
Is there a general timeline for when the storm, we're going to start feeling the impact of the storm, when it's going to be most intense, sort of hours of the day, and then when it'll finally move through and we'll be back to pre-storm conditions?
Yes. So at this point, the prediction is that it will be making landfall in the Big Bend region around sunrise tomorrow, give or take an hour or so, and then proceed northeast and bring us our heaviest weather between the late morning hours, so around like 10, 11 a.m. through the afternoon hours, about 3 p.m. It's a quick moving storm, so those impacts are going to be a few hours, and then we're going to see improvements quickly into the evening as the storm moves to the north.
Are you anticipating any storm surge at all at the beach?
There's going to be some surge. There's a little bit of a southeast wind ahead of it, which would push a little water in, but really the winds are not going to bring a lot of water into the coast because it's going to shift pretty much somewhat offshore fairly quickly. So that's not going to be a pattern that sets up to, create a lot of surge. We're saying up to 3 feet, and that's kind of the worst case scenario at this point.
Same along the river then as well. The river's not a concern.
There will be points along the river, particularly like the North Bank and areas like that where we may see the water levels rise. As far as breaching, that's a little uncertain now considering the winds may be a little bit lighter with the storm shifting a little bit further west, but certainly that's a possibility that we could have some issues along the river, especially along that part in a couple low-lying areas like Kidney Drive.
I know there's concern about schools. I know we've talked yesterday, but there's been for Friday, the football games, people have been asking, are those events canceled or moved?
We are monitoring the conditions, and we are hopeful that we will be able to have Friday night football. We will have to wait and see. We'll have more once we see the effects of the storm, but thank you for that question.
Because we know some games have already been shifted.
Our games have not been shifted at this time.
Mayor Deegan, yesterday you made some comments about sandbags and there was some confusion. Can you give us some clarification or expound on that?
I'll just tell you exactly what I said to you yesterday. There has been for a while a determination that sandbags are of questionable help when it comes to situations like this. In fact, science simply does not support that they are helpful as much as they may cause water to remain in a place and not let it out. So I know that some people want sandbags. People are certainly welcome to do what they wish to do. I know that other counties are going with sandbags. In our view, the science simply does not support the use of sandbags as helpful to keep any water from really getting into a space.
A question on the buses again. You had mentioned that there's going to be bus service to the shelters. How do people do that? We know Kidney Drive, as the mayor mentioned, there's going to be a continuous shuttle, but for everything else, how does that work?
Yes, so the pickup locations are Duncan Fletcher High School, Mayport Middle School, Jacksonville Beach Elementary, and Baldwin Middle High School. So we've started those shuttles running at 12 noon, and those are the places you could pick up a bus and then get transported to a shelter.
Then we had heard there was concern. You say the bus service will continue tomorrow, regular JTA bus service until the winds?
Today.
Today.
We continue full service today, depending on weather and road conditions, and then we are planning tomorrow is fully suspended. All of our transit services are suspended tomorrow. with a hope that we'll bring back all fixed route and transit services Thursday morning, with the exception of the St. Johns River Ferry. It has moved to Green Cove Springs, and we'll need time to bring it back to get it in service. So in that case, we'll be out of service with the ferry Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Just want to make sure folks are safe, Jim. That's the biggest thing, right? No need to have all those folks on the roads. That's really the message today is, just hunker down here over the next 24 hours or so, however long until we know that this storm has passed us by. It's going to be quick, as you heard, but we don't want people trying to get through standing water. We don't want people, touching down power lines. There are possibilities of isolated tornadoes all over the place. That's probably the biggest possibility that we're going to have here in some of our areas. So we just want people off the roads and out of the way as much as they can be.
It's been a rough week for Jacksonville. Thoughts?
Well, it has been a rough week, but that's what we're here for, right? We're here to be here for the community in times of difficulty, and these people behind me have done amazing work and continue to do so. So that's why we're here. So thank you all. I appreciate the questions. Y'all have a wonderful day.